Bay, I'm flexing, extensive. Brand new Rari, Smith & Wesson.
Number 5. Tyke the elephant. Elephants have become a recognizable, possibly morbid symbol for circuses across the globe. Tyke was one such elephant performing in a circus in Honolulu, Hawaii, for nearly 2 decades under trainer Alan Campbell. On August 20th, 1994, during a performance, Tyke suddenly stomped onto the stage, pushing groomer Dallas Beckwith with her trunk. Campbell stepped in an attempt to stop Tyke before anyone got seriously hurt, and the crowd watched in awe, believing it was part of the show. When Campbell stepped in, Tyke violently threw him and Beckwith to the ground, then proceeded to stomp on them for several minutes. And for their lives. Outside, publicist Steve Hirano tried to keep Tyke from escaping the parking lot, but was thrown to the ground and nearly trampled himself. But police arrived, panicked, and seeing no other options, officers opened fire, causing Tyke to flee into the streets of Honolulu. For half an hour, Tyke rampaged through downtown, knocking into cars and structures along the way. Eventually cornered, police and wildlife officials fired 86 rounds into Tyke until she finally collapsed and succumbed to her injuries. In total, 13 people were injured, and Campbell died from his injuries. The incident sparked public outcry about the treatment of animals and their use for entertainment purposes as a form of torture. Not long after, the city of Honolulu, the circus, and Tyke's owner, John Caneo Jr., was sued, and the matter was settled out of court. The incident also inspired legislation in Hawaii and California concerning the treatment of animals and the use of them in performances. Number 4. Rodney Fox. A champion spear fisherman, Rodney Fox was defending his title during a competition in December 1963. Fox had speared and collected several fish and was diving further to find more when a great white shark smelt the blood of his catch and swam towards the scent. The shark collided into Fox's side and sunk his teeth deep into his abdomen, puncturing his diaphragm and ripping open his lungs. Despite the injuries, Fox managed to fight off his attacker, surface, and wave down a rescue vessel, which took him to a hospital. Doctors found his artery was exposed, and had he been a minute later from arriving, he would have bled out. Miraculously, Fox survived the attack, and the entire side of his body, from his hand to lower abdomen, had to be stitched up with 462 stitches. The incident inspired Fox to study sharks and their behavior, hoping by doing so he will help prevent further shark attacks without resorting to killing the species. He was also the first to design the well-known observation cage researchers and thrill seekers alike use to safely observe sharks at close proximity. Fox is still alive today and was even invited to lead an expedition on the first Shark Week specials on Discovery. Number 3. Pit bull attack caught on tape. In Los Angeles, a complaint was sent to animal control by neighbors of a woman's pit bull exhibiting aggressive behavior and the woman threatening to unleash the dog on people confronting her about it. Animal control officer Florence Crowell arrived to investigate and remove the dog from the premises. Immediately, the woman threatened Crowell, stating she would release the dog from home if Crowell didn't leave. Shortly after the woman re-entered her home, the door opened again and the pit bull ran out towards Crowell, biting down hard on the officer's hand. Crowell desperately tried to tear her hand away as the dog's owner unleashed a barrage of verbal abuse and egging the dog on. In the meantime, a camera crew filmed the incident and attempted to help, but were forced to retreat several times due to the violent nature of the dog. Thankfully, one of the neighbors ran out and struck the dog in the head with a 2x4, causing the dog to release its grip and flee back to the house. Another neighbor called 911, while the owner desperately pleaded with them not to do so, stating she did not want to be arrested. Crowell suffered a crushed hand and a punctured lung, but recovered from the attack. The dog was taken by animal control and put down, while the owner was prosecuted for instigating the attack and causing injuries to a law enforcement officer. Number 2. The Jersey Shore attacks. For 12 days in July of 1916, residents of New Jersey were terrorized by a series of shark attacks between Beach Haven and Matawan. On July 1st, 25-year-old Charles Vansant of Philadelphia was bitten during a pre-dinner swim, resulting in most of the skin and muscle being torn away from his leg. He bled to death at the hotel he was residing in. The second attack occurred on July 6 in Spring Lake. Victim Charles Bruder, 27, was swimming 120 meters offshore when he was bit by a shark in the abdominal and his legs were severed. While rescuers were able to pull him from the water, Bruder bled to death on the way back to shore. 6 days later, a third attack occurred, this time inland in Matawan Creek. Local boys were playing in the creek when 11-year-old Lester Stilwell was dragged into the water. Being an epileptic, his friends believed he suffered a seizure and ran to get help. 24-year-old local businesswoman Watson Fisher entered the creek in an attempt to save Stilwell, but was also attacked in the thigh. He was pulled from the water but died later that evening from blood loss. Stilwell's body was recovered 2 days later. 30 minutes following the Matawan Creek attacks, 14-year-old Joseph Dunn was attacked a half-mile from Wyckoff. Fortunately, Dunn was rescued by his brother and friend in a tug-of-war, eventually resulting in the shark letting go. Dunn was immediately rushed to the hospital and recovered after 2 months. The series caused panic among the vacation towns all along the east coast. To this day, it's unknown the species of shark or whether or not it was more than one, though it's likely to have been several sharks, most likely a great white or bull shark. Bull sharks are the only shark that can live in both fresh and salt water, meaning it's likely to be the perpetrator of the last 2 attacks. In popular culture, author Peter Benchley cited the attacks as his main inspiration for his bestseller Jaws, which was later adapted into the hit film of the same name. Number 1. Steve Irwin. Undoubtedly the most well-known entry on this list, Irwin was an Australian zoologist and conservationist known to the public as the Crocodile Hunter, a nickname he gained from his TV series of the same name. Irwin was committed to educating youth and adults alike about nature and the wildlife that inhabits it. Mostly, fans were drawn to Irwin's seemingly eccentric and hyperactive persona. Aside from television, Irwin was the operator of the Australia Zoo in Biawar, Queensland, a position he inherited from his parents. He would frequently appear at the attraction to host wildlife shows in front of live audiences, where he would interact with a variety of animals, most notably crocodiles. In 2006, Irwin teamed up with conservationist Philip Cousteau Jr., the grandson of oceanologist Jacques Cousteau, to film a documentary called Ocean's Deadliest. During a sequence on September 4th, Irwin was snorkeling in the Bat Reef off Port Douglas, Queensland, and was filming some shallow water shots for his daughter's children's program, Bindi the Jungle Girl, after bad weather prohibited him and the crew from venturing further out. While filming, Irwin swam towards a stingray from behind. Startled, the stingray plunged its tail into Irwin's chest as a defensive tactic and swam away. Irwin was taken from the water and he initially believed the stinger had pierced his lung and spine, but had actually punctured his heart, and the injury proved fatal. The entire incident was captured on film, and all the footage was handed over to Queensland State Police as evidence. After Irwin's death was ruled accidental, and the Irwin family had all footage of his death destroyed.
ROXANNE.